The front row, Brad Mosen, your highest point scorer. On the outside of him, Ben Morrison in the 97A is going to lead us round in the promo lap, number 97, as we get set to turn them loose for 20 laps here at Luxor Western Spring Speedway. And it's Morrison that gets the jump down into Midas turn number 1 and running that mid lane. Gets ahead of Mosen and already stretching out a couple of car lengths. Then it's back to Ryan Baker and his teammate Hayden Williams there as Baker gets right up, almost into the wall and loses 3-4 spots and then gets an almighty slingshot up the inside of Apello and Fabish. But at the moment, it's the promo lab, number 97, who is absolutely driving away into the City of Sales Sunset from Brad Mosen. Hayden Williams also squeaking into the 3rd position. But Morrison already with massive gap between himself and Brad Mosen, with smoke starting to come out of the headers of the GT Radials, number 27 of Hayden Williams. So we'll keep an eye on that. But this man has been an absolute class all night. Ben Morrison, look at that gap in 3 laps as Williams starts to have more smoke billow out of the side of that race car. His teammate right behind him, and Corbin Anderson tucked in behind as well. This is not looking good on his midget debut back with HLR Racing here at Luxor Western Spring Speedway now as his teammate gets the inside. Baker just hits that run and gets a little bit tight, but Williams is not going out without a fight. I can relate, I've been here before, Hayden not wanting to give up on this one, but it may come at the expense of Jeff Harper of potentially losing that beautiful KRE motor under the hood here as big wheels fly from Baker as he hits that run. But Williams ignoring the smoke and pressing on with this one. Corbin Anderson still running behind these drivers here in the 5th spot. Then it looks like it's going to be David Pallow. Then back to Alec Inslee a little bit further back. But this is the battle we follow at the moment. Ryan Baker, Hayden Williams, Corbin Anderson. Anderson with the 2 HLR cars roadblocking in front of him at this point in time. Williams still continuing to ignore the smoke, but it's Ben Morrison still leading. Mosen starting to close up a little bit. Has he held a little bit in reserve? It's fair to say Mosen can never be discounted regardless of the conditions, the circumstances, as we've got Williams with smoke billowing out of that car and he pulls to the infield. So retiring from this one, the 27 of Williams, but here comes Mo, the 1NZ now on the back of the King Toyota, trying to get through. So it's the Greenway man trying to get her up the inside of Ben Morrison as they're in the lap traffic. They got Morgan McHugh and trying to get up the inside. Morrison navigates the traffic perfectly and gets through and puts a couple of cars between himself and Mosen. Mosen threads the needle and goes through the middle and hits the run. Jumps all kinds of out of shape and almost collects young Terrence Durrell in the process. But the mature young head on our current leader is still leading. This man, Mosen, still running in the 2nd spot. Doesn't look like he potentially has anything for the young Ben Morrison, as Morrison now on the back of the McDonald's, number 57. Almost collects the tail tank of the race car. This is just what Mosen needs to try and close that gap, to get a little bit closer to our leader, to be able to take advantage and trying to use that lap traffic to bring himself back into this race. Currently running in the 3rd position is still that of Baker, and as we say that, Corbin Anderson runs around the outside of him. So move the number 69 up into the 3rd position. But this is the battle that we follow on track at this point in time. It's Ben Morrison still leading, Mosen edging a little bit closer. Is there anything left in reserve for Mosen? Mosen gets it close as he's been all race. They touch and Mosen almost goes around. Half spin for Mosen. And once again, Morrison prevails. Mosen did not need to do that. As the laps tick by, there's only 5 laps left to run. Was that the golden opportunity that Mosen needed? And he's thrown it away. He's going to need the lap traffic, but Morrison has got the next car in front of him is your current 2NZ of Brock Maskovich and Shaden Austin. So the laps are almost done and dusted here for Mosen to try and get through. 3rd place runner still Corbin Anderson from Ryan Baker and Alec Inslee. Alec Inslee up into the top 5 as well. As the flagman prepares the white flag, getting ready to throw it on this one. Still Morrison as Mosen gets right up and hits the wall down at turn number 1. Mosen is literally throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this one, but Morrison is right in the thick of the lap traffic. Once again, this is the opportunity as Morrison checks up, and that allows Mosen to get right back on the back of him. Tries to get up the inside. Remember, there's so much drive and moisture down there. There's plenty of grip. So Mosen searching high, searching low, but he can't get through on the youngster. The white flag flies this time. What has Mosen got? Morrison goes low side on Shaden Austin. The lap cars puts a car between himself and that of Brad Mosen. Here comes the youngster. He gets right down into the rough, down to turn number 3 and 4, gets up the inside of Maskovic, and Morrison takes victory on the opening night here at the quarter mile, Luxor Western Springs Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Feature win for young star in the making. Ben Morrison takes victory in the promo lab, number 97. Put your hands together, Luxor Western Springs Speedway. He's a talent. He is going places. The promo lab, number 97, Ben Morrison.
What a brilliant performance by young Ben Morrison there. But what a drive from Brad Mosen, bringing it all together, and then just getting caught up in turn 2, just almost turning the car around, and that's what gave him the gap. But it was the mature driving that Ben Morrison did as he ran through the traffic. Very, very good. Boy, looking forward to the rest of the season coming up now. And as we cross down to Graham Standring, awaiting Ben Morrison to come in and do a presentation down on the track for our first of our features here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. What an opening night that was. What a great drive for Ben Morrison. Can't wait to talk to him later on. Ben just finding his way to get in on the track. Oh, I think he's going to do something exciting. There you go. Look at that. Bit too much grip for that one. Well, there you go. I think his Graham's going to have to run across the track. Give him a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting out of the car. Ben Morrison, he's worked long and hard to get a feature win at Western Springs Speedway as he makes his way to the top. There we go. Well done, Ben. He'll be pretty pleased with that one. Great performance from all the drivers out there on the track. Boy, what an exciting race that was. And Ben Morrison has shown his skill and maturity all through this. Remember the feature win, the heat wins that he got in the night where he just drove away from the track. The jump he got on Brad Mosen at the beginning of that race, and maintaining his composure to stay out there all the time under enormous pressure. Threading the needle through the traffic. Brilliant driving. Graham Standring will be with him in a minute. See how he feels about this. It's the longest road to the podium, especially when the car don't go. Can't quite get that spinning. He's going to have to work on those donuts. I expect this season is going to be quite big for Ben Morrison. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Up into victory lane. Your winner, Ben Morrison.
Right, Ben Morrison, that was pretty good. I watched your whole race, of course, and looked like you'd get Brad, and then Brad got back to you, but looked like you had some really decisive moves through traffic. Talk us through some of those.
Yeah, I don't know if they were decisive. I think they're more a little bit of a young and dumb. that was probably the hardest I ever drove out there. I seen Brad on the bottom of me a few times there, and You know, Brad's not just the best in New Zealand. He can compete with the best guys in the world. So I knew I had to get on my A game, and you know, I think I never won 2 heats before, let alone all 3. So this is for sure the best day of my life. You know, I've come here since I was 5 years old, and I've just dreamed of this ever since then. And to do it with Mum, Dad, and Levi, just the 4 of us, you know, we beat the best guys in New Zealand tonight.